Shalom. I want to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh Bashem, Yahushua Bashem, Chakwadash. Double honors to my teachers, the elder apostles of the great millstone who rule well, and as always, peace and salutations to all the fellow laborers of the hopeful elect tabernacle of David, scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. And we're in a year to turn up, and you see that the prophecies are popping off the page. Especially the things that Yahushua said concerning the signs of his return. He said that you will hear wars and rumors of wars. Nation will rise against nation, kingdom against kingdom, and there will be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places. And it seems that each year the Lord turns it up on all those different categories. All right, war, pestilence. All right, extreme weather patterns. Devastation. Earthquakes in diverse places, and they're only going to intensify, until the Lord shows up. So right now, we're in the midst of a manufactured crisis that's been ushered in by the globalist international bankers, the elite. And right now, because they want to push an agenda, they have an objective to accomplish. They want to make sure that the whole world is submission, to those objectives, to their agenda. And one of the best ways is to, take their food, take their, freedom, take their, self-sovereignty, and transfer all the power and the control and the wealth to themselves. And that's what's going on. And they managed to do that through this manufactured crisis, this so-called pandemic. So now we're starting to see the effects of the supply chain, that's been altered, since the beginning of this whole thing. There was giving warning going back to the first lockdown in 2020, where they said that it was going to start to affect the supply chain, and you had all those those cargo ships stranded in the seas, and they wasn't allowed to bring them to the docks, the loading docks, and also a lot of farmers were forced to dump their produce. So you're seeing scarcity within the markets. All right, you're seeing empty shelves, which that's all in the scriptures. It tells you that storehouses will be suddenly empty. Our fields shall appear unsown, and the storehouses shall appear empty. And that's what you're seeing in various places in the country right now. This is all being manufactured, and these devils are starting to act like these ridiculous policies and mandates is not the cause and the reason why these these supply chains are happening. All right, we know that these unrighteous decrees is responsible for these supply chain issues, but they don't care. All they care about is taking total control. All right, seizing the power over the people. They want you to be the tail and they to be the head. So anyway, let's I'm gonna listen to just maybe a few minutes of this. I'll let y'all listen, and then we could definitely hit some precepts.
Well, something that we never expected has now arrived in the United States of America. Right now, the state of Washington is literally rationing food. And I predict this could spread across the U.S. Even the United Nations is warning of global starvation. But before I get into the report, just a quick break. A newly discovered software flaw is one of the most critical vulnerabilities.
Let me fast and forward.
Level websites. Security alarm saying everyone is at risk. Your privacy, it's in your hands. Help protect your online data. And it's so easy to sign up. All you have to do, and then just select your.
skip. You know, they got to advertise and shit. Let me skip to the point.
Look at this tweet that was put out by the DC Homeland Security and Emergency Management. And it states this: if you're hitting the grocery store to prepare for winter weather, please just buy what you need and leave some for others. You may have noticed empty shelves in some stores due to national supply chain issues, but there is no need to buy more than you normally would. In other words, let's ration what we have in the grocery store because we have real problems with the supply chain, and we're trying to warn the American people that things are going to potentially get worse. In fact, I like the way that this was retreated
And just notice how they acting like it's just unfortunate that, you know, it ain't being manufactured. You know, they make you believe that the supply chain is uh affected because of some type of natural disaster, or a locust then came and ate up the crops. No, they the ones that halted through these ridiculous policies. You know, they held, those merchantmen, they held them hostage. You know, where they couldn't really bring in what they normally bring in. So this is how you know that this is a straight up manufactured famine. And this is all to get the people to submit. All right.
tweeted by Raheem, who said this: rationing hits S whole DC. And I don't believe I disagree with him on that point. Not only that, but most of you have been paying attention to some of the grocery stores yourself. In fact, there's a hashtag that has gone viral on Twitter that's hashtag empty shelves Biden, showing just how bad things really are with this Biden administration. And here's just some of the stuff that you can see on Twitter with these empty shelves. Even my local grocery stores that I've been going to all are massively out of products and even services. If you go to do stuff for your car, you're running short on supplies or certain things that you might need for your car or your washer or dryer or your appliances and the whole 9 yards. Thanks to the Biden administration, this is now the stuff that we are dealing with. And this actually goes on and on and on with.
Let me get a quick scripture. Biden is straight trash, man. But hey, he's just, he's just a puppet, man. They're using this guy. He's the crash dummy puppet for what the elites are doing. Let's get Sirach. Was it 10? Yeah, Sirach 10 and verse 3, it says, an unwise king ruleth his people, but through the prudence of them which are in authority, the city shall be inhabited. You know, we know Biden, he's not all the way there. Okay. His brain functions only when it's convenient. You know, one dude questioned him about the inflation, and then I don't know if y'all saw that, but somebody asked him about the inflation, and he said something about, you know, inflation is an asset, and then he said what a dumb son of a bitch, you know. So, this guy, he's just, you know, but he's the devil though, you know. He think he making progress in his own mind, but he's actually he's crashing the country, man. He's bringing the country down. All right, quick and fast. So hey, good job, Sleepy Joe. You doing a wonderful work. All right, because this place is on its way out, man. There's no healing of thy bruise. All right, Babylon will not be healed, man. So let's go back.
States all across the country. But this burden is widely being felt by Americans all across the state. And the truth of the matter is, things are not getting better. They are getting far worse. In fact, this was admitted by even the Wall Street Journal. Take a look at this article here. And they talk about some of the problems that we're having. And it says U.S. food supply is under pressure from plant to store to shelves. Weeks of workers calling in sick to continue supply and transportation disruptions, making store shelves harder to find. It goes on to state this: the food industry executives and analysts warn that the situation could persist for weeks or months, even as the current wave of COVID-19 infections ease. Recent virus related absences among workers have added to continuing supply and transportation disruptions, keeping some food scarce. Nearly 2 years ago, the COVID lockdowns drove a surge in grocery store buying that cleared the shelves of products such as meat, baking ingredients, and paper goods. Now, some executives say that supply challenges are worse than ever. The lack of workers leaves a broader range of products in short supply. Food industry executives said, with availability sometimes changing daily. So as you can see, there is a real strain on our food supply, on our products, and there's something that's about to make it a whole lot worse, and that is the fact of farmers having to deal with increased prices from fertilizer. Take a look at this article here. Also on the Wall Street Journal, it says farmers are failing as fertilizer prices drive up cost of food. And it
Yep. Inflation, man, and it's starting to become more scarce, so that's driving the prices up. Okay, and also it tells you that in the Apocrypha that some of the crops would fail through blasting, and they would be in the worst case. Second Ezra 15 and 13, it says, "They that till the ground, which are the farmers, shall mourn, for their seed shall fail through the blasting and hail and with fearful constellation." And that's through these extreme weather patterns. We've been dealing with tornadoes, snowstorms, you know, wildfires, all type of stuff. And that's all coming from the Heavenly Father. So that's also contributing to the food crisis that we're starting to experience. Where now we're starting to see the effects. Now the warning went out, all throughout last year, and even in the end of 2020, that was telling you, these corporations were stockpiling food, and now you're starting to see those effects now. So pretty soon, wherever whatever market you go to, because there's a shortage, they're going to be telling you you're going to have to ration. You can only get this quantity or this amount of products, and it's going to be a hefty price. So you already know that's going to lead to unrest. That's why it says in the next verse, it says, "Woe to the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh. One people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands." Because now we're coming into the time of trouble, tribulation. Let me get a mark real quick. People gonna be in distress. You already see how everyone is doing financially. This whole crisis then took a toll on everybody financially, man. A lot of people were evicted out of their homes once the moratoriums were over with. A lot of people lost work. A lot of people got laid off. A lot of people had to resign due to those mandates. This is Mark 13 and 8. It says, "For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be earthquakes in diverse places." You had one in Japan, and you just had one in Haiti. It says, "And there shall be famines and troubles." All right, and this is the times that we're coming into, man. These are the beginnings of sorrows. All right. So going back, people going to be experiencing those troubles. So there's going to be unrest. People going to be out there, you know, rioting, snatching up shit. You already got Jake on the West Coast. They're already doing that. All right. They robbing whole freight trains. Okay. They following women home out of the grocery store, following them to their driveway and robbing them and taking their food. And then pretty soon they're gonna look towards, their leaders, these mayors, these wicked ass, puppeteer mayors and governors. that's only doing what the elite is telling them to do, especially these Democratic ran mayors and governors. They're tearing it, man. They turning their cities into straight shitholes, man. All right, and uh, the mayor of D.C. He's the one that made the tweet. Okay, that motherfucker is the one that's suggesting that they buy their supplies, but make sure you buy just enough. Don't buy more than you normally would. Leave some for others. So yeah, man, we here, and it's gonna start. It's gonna trickle through the rest of the cities and the various states, and it's starting to look like Venezuela up this mug, man. All right. So anyway, um, let's go back to our second edge of 15. And matter of fact, Salakia, the DC mayor, I think her name is Muriel Bowser or something like that. You know who she what she represents. She's representing that communism, man, because she's democratic. She supports Soros, and they're the main pushers of this whole new world agenda. So you're really gonna catch total hell in any city where you got these type of governors and leaders reigning. All right. So anyway, let me read verse 16. It says, "For there shall be sedition among men and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the courts of their actions shall stand in their power." People rising up and coming against their leaders, whether it be the mayor, whether it be the governors, these politicians, with their oppressive mandates and policies that's putting more and more economic strain on the environment. It says, "A man shall desire to go into a city shall not be able," because it's going to get so wild. They're going to have to lock everything down, like what's going on over there in what's that country in Africa, where they attempted a coup over there. All right, they saying that there's a I think a curfew that they had to issue because the people ran wild, man. You know, so we're in that time, man. You're gonna see sedition. So continuing on, it says, "For because of their pride, the city shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid." So it's gonna get real violent. "A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods." You know, uh, burglaries, robberies, home invasions, because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation. All right, and that's where it's gonna get to. That's where it's gonna head. Once that once the food is down, that's pretty much a wrap, man. All right, and I mentioned Africa. I think the country is the Burkina Faso. All right, there was a military coup that was attempted over there, and they had to shut everything down. All right, so it's obviously there's some activity going on over there, but we're gonna wait and we're gonna look more into that situation. All right, so anyway, let's go from there and let's go to Ezekiel. And this was a prophecy that a siege was getting ready to happen to Jerusalem. And during a siege, that's when the military, you know, put that trench. They put that what they call it, basically a blockade or a barricade to basically surround a city and block and keep everything from coming in or anything leaving. And that causes a straight up famine. And you already got the truckers crying out. So hey, in the next few months, man, it's finna get hot, man. So this is Ezekiel 4, and I'm gonna start at verse 9. And this was an instruction that the Lord gave to Ezekiel to prepare for the siege and a famine. And it hit Jake hard, man. This is, let me read it in the NLT translation. It is Ezekiel 4. I'll start at verse 5, and I'm gonna just read down. It says, I am requiring you to bear Israel's sin for 390 days, 1 day for each year of their sin. After that, turn over and lie on your right side for 40 days, 1 day for each year of Judah's sin. Meanwhile, keep staring at the siege of Jerusalem. Lie there in your arm bared and prophesy her destruction. And we're prophesying America's destruction, right? It says, I will tie you up with ropes so you won't be able to turn from side to side until the days of your siege have been completed. Now go and get some wheat, barley, beans, lentils, millet, and emmer wheat and mix them together in a storage jar. Use them to make bread for yourself during the 390 days you will be lying on your side. So he gotta bear it before Israel actually goes through it. It says, ration this out to yourself, 8 ounces of food for each day, and eat it at set times. Now, this is food rationing. It says, did measure out a jar of water for each day and drink it at set times. Prepare and eat this food as you would barley cakes. While all the people are watching, bake it over a fire using dried human dung as fuel and then eat the bread. Human shit. Then the Lord said, this is how Israel will eat defiled bread in the Gentile lands to which I will banish them. And the food we eat right now is totally defiled. All type of meats getting recalled because it's contaminated. All type of bacterias and outbreaks. You got pesticides on a lot of your vegetables and fruits. A lot of genetically spliced you know fruits and veggies. This is all messed up. That's why, hey, this devil got to go, man. It says, then I said, O sovereign Lord, must I be defiled by using human dung? For I have never been defiled before. For the time I was a child until now, I have never eaten any animal that died of sickness or was killed by other animals. I have never eaten any meat forbidden by the law. All right, the Lord said, you may bake your bread with cow dung instead of human dung. Then he told me, son of man, I will make food very scarce in Jerusalem. It will be weighed out with great care and eaten fearfully. The water will be rationed out drop by drop, and the people will drink it with dismay. Lacking food and water, people will look at one another in terror, and they will waste away under their punishment. And in this case, Jake is just gonna start going out and robbing people. People gonna be killing each other and taking food from people's households. And then you got the preppers that's prepared for it, so they've been stocking stocking up food, barrels of rice and beans and all that other stuff. Powdered foods, and they also been getting weapons and ammunition because they know people are gonna be coming for them. This is what part of Jacob's trouble looks like. All right, and let's go to Leviticus 26 and 26. This was a curse against Israel. Leviticus 26 to 26, I will destroy your food supply so that 10 women will need only one oven to bake bread for their families. They will ration your food by weight, and though you have food to eat, you will not be satisfied. So hey, when you got a food ration, that means that you're coming into famine, right? And now they're saying that, food rationing is hitting Babylon. All right, you had the food banks, last year and the year before, people was lining up to get free food, and all of a sudden you stop seeing that. So it's about to get real interesting, man. Year to turn up. So anyway, I'm gonna end off with that. I'm gonna give all praise, glory, and honor to Yahweh Shem Shai. To the next lesson, Shalom.